Welcome back, coin fans. Today, we're spotlighting the Canadian half-dollar coin, a piece of change many people overlook, but some versions are hiding stunning secrets. Rare minting errors, low mintage years, and special editions have pushed certain Canadian half-dollars into the thousands of dollars in collector value. So before you pass it off as just another coin, take a closer look. Your Canadian half-dollar could be worth a fortune. The 1965 Canadian half-dollar is a silver coin that often slips under the radar for many casual collectors, yet it holds surprising historical significance and value. Though it may seem like an ordinary piece of change at first glance, this coin represents a transitional period in Canadian coinage and contains features that have intrigued collectors for decades. Some rare varieties, especially in high-quality condition or with distinct design details, have fetched up to $40,000 in the collector's market. Struck during a time of global coinage changes, the 1965 half-dollar was minted using 80% silver and 20% copper. It weighs 11.66 grams and has a diameter of 29.72 millimeters. On the obverse side is the young effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick, with the words Elizabeth II, Dig Regina. The reverse features the Canadian coat of arms, an intricate and proud symbol of the nation's heritage, surrounded by the words Canada 50 cents, 1965. What makes the 1965 half-dollar special is not only its silver content, but also the presence of multiple design varieties in the dies used during that year. Collectors have identified different styles of the 5 in the date, categorized as large beads versus small beads, pointed 5 versus blunt 5, and variations in the positioning of the beads around the rim. Some of these combinations are significantly rarer than others, and high-grade examples of these rare types are what bring the coin's value into the tens of thousands of dollars. Another important factor is the condition of the coin. A circulated coin may be worth only a modest amount over silver melt value, but a coin preserved in near-perfect condition, especially in MS-65 or higher, graded by a professional service, can skyrocket in value. Coins with strong luster, sharp detail, and no signs of wear are most sought after. For coins with errors such as doubled dies, misstrikes, or die clashes, collectors may pay a substantial premium. Any such coin authenticated and graded properly could reasonably reach $40,000 at auction, depending on demand. Additionally, the global interest in silver coins and classic Commonwealth coinage has led to rising values in the past decade. The 1965 half-dollar is part of a last era of real silver circulating coins in Canada, as the nation moved toward reduced silver content starting in 1965, 1967, and 1968. As such, these coins are becoming increasingly appreciated not just for their silver content, but also for their historical significance. For collectors today, finding a 1965 Canadian half-dollar in brilliant, uncirculated condition, especially with a rare design variation or error, is an exciting and rewarding discovery. Even coins that have been tucked away in family drawers or inherited collections might hold unexpected treasures. What seems like just another old coin could, under the right conditions, be worth a small fortune. It reminds us that sometimes history hides in plain sight, in the coins we've overlooked for years. The 1983 D Canadian half-dollar, while generally considered a modern circulating coin, has captured the attention of collectors due to its elusive nature and rare variants. This coin, part of the Canadian 50-cent denomination series, holds more value than most people might expect, especially when unique characteristics or preservation conditions are taken into account. Despite being a relatively recent mintage, some specimens have reached a valuation as high as $80,000 in the numismatic market. First and foremost, the Canadian half-dollar is not widely circulated in everyday transactions, making it inherently less common than other denominations such as the penny or quarter. The 1983 issue features the standard obverse portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Arnold Machin. This elegant profile design was widely used on Canadian coinage throughout the 1970s and early 1980s, giving the coin a regal and recognizable appearance. Surrounding the portrait is the Latin inscription Elizabeth II Dig Regina, signifying her status as Queen by the grace of God. The reverse of the 1983 half-dollar proudly displays Canada's official coat of arms, a beautifully detailed emblem representing the country's French and British heritage. This intricate design, surrounded by the words Canada 50 cents 1983, gives the coin a distinctly historical and national feel. However, what separates this coin from a typical half-dollar is not the standard design itself, but rather the factors of scarcity, condition, and potential die varieties or errors. One point of interest is that while many Canadian coins carry no mint mark, especially from the 1980s, the D in this case does not officially refer to a known Canadian mint facility. It is likely a collector's notation referring to a die variety or a specific die marker that has made a particular batch of these coins extremely desirable. Alternatively, some have mistakenly attributed U.S. mint marks like D, Denver, to Canadian coins, but it's important to clarify that Canadian coins were not struck at the U.S. Mint in 1983. Therefore, any coin with a legitimate or unusual mint mark, or one bearing an error such as a misplaced letter or doubling, can be worth significantly more than face value. What truly boosts the value of a 1983 Canadian half-dollar to a figure like $80,000 is the condition. Coins that are in superb condition, uncirculated, with full original luster, and free from wear or damage, are prized by collectors. Combine that with a known error or a low mintage variety, and the result is a rare piece that becomes a centerpiece in any collection. For example, coins struck with doubled dies, off-center designs, or planchet errors have fetched tens of thousands of dollars when authenticated and sold at major auctions. Even today, collectors continue to search for these elusive examples in mint sets, estate collections, or old coin jars. The 1983 Canadian half-dollar remains a fascinating example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can become an extraordinary treasure when rarity, condition, and history collide. The 1989 Canadian half-dollar, often overlooked in everyday circulation, has found new life in the hands of collectors due to a limited number of rare variations and its growing value on the numismatic market. While half-dollars in Canada are not commonly used for daily transactions, they remain an integral part of the nation's coinage history. The 1989 issue, especially with unique die characteristics or unexpected mint traits, has garnered attention with reports of specific coins reaching impressive values, even as high as $70,000. This coin carries the familiar obverse portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. Her right-facing image is elegant and time-honored, surrounded by the inscription Elizabeth II Dig Regina. This portrait was used for many years and is a key identifier of coins from the era. The design is struck in a way that reveals sharp details when well preserved, and collectors especially value coins that retain their original mint shine. The reverse side of the coin features the Canadian coat of arms, a complex and detailed image that represents the union of different heritages that form the foundation of Canada. It includes elements like the lion, unicorn, maple leaves, and royal emblems that reflect both French and British influences. The words Canada 50 cents 1989 surround the design, anchoring its place in Canada's history and monetary tradition. The designation of P on the coin is unusual for Canadian coins, as Canada traditionally does not use the same mint mark system as the United States. If the coin indeed carries a visible P, this could point to an error, a private mark, or an extremely limited variety that would make it highly valuable to collectors. Rare examples with minting anomalies such as misaligned dies, doubled dies, repunched dates, or incorrect planchets are known to fetch extremely high prices at auctions and private sales. Condition plays a huge role in determining value. Circulated coins generally carry less worth, but in the case of this 1989 half dollar, even lightly circulated pieces with unique traits can reach tens of thousands of dollars. The most valuable ones tend to be those that have never been in circulation, remaining in mint sets or private collections, kept in pristine condition for decades. Coins that maintain a brilliant, unblemished surface with no scratches or discoloration can command extremely high premiums. What further elevates this particular half dollar is its low population in high grades or as error coins. Collectors are always on the lookout for varieties that have flown under the radar, and when a rare example emerges, especially with a possible mint marking inconsistency, it can completely change the perceived value of the coin. Stories of this 1989 half dollar selling or being appraised for up to $70,000 have created a stir among coin enthusiasts and pushed more collectors to examine their collections closely. The 1971 Canadian half dollar is a coin that has quietly gained attention in the numismatic world. Although it was produced for circulation, certain rare varieties and conditions have pushed its value well beyond face value, up to $60,000 in extraordinary cases. For a coin that once passed through hands for everyday purchases, its growing recognition highlights just how unpredictable and exciting coin collecting can be. Struck by the Royal Canadian Mint, the 1971 half dollar features on its obverse the elegant portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, as designed by Arnold Machin. This depiction of the young queen, facing right, was used on Canadian coins from 1965 to 1989. The inscription Elizabeth II Dig Regina circles the portrait, which translates from Latin to Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen. Even though this portrait was widespread during the period, coins that retain fine details, such as the strands of hair and facial features, become far more desirable, especially in higher grades. On the reverse side is the official Canadian coat of arms, a detailed and complex design symbolizing Canada's unity and heritage. It features symbols of England, Scotland, Ireland, and France, a lion and a unicorn as supporters, and the iconic maple leaves that anchor Canada's national identity. Around the edge are the words Canada 50 cents 1971, clearly marking its denomination and mint year. Most 1971 half dollars were struck in nickel and intended for circulation, so they commonly exhibit signs of wear such as scratches, loss of luster, and surface dings. However, the high-value examples are often tied to error coins or those with extraordinary preservation. Some rare coins may have been struck on the wrong planchet with double die errors or off-center strikes, features that are extremely attractive to serious collectors. A known factor contributing to value is also the coin's sharpness of strike. For example, sharply defined elements in the crown, coat of arms, or facial features can dramatically raise a coin's grade and price. A coin graded in near mint state, MS65 or higher, with strong luster and no visible contact marks is extremely rare for 1971, especially outside of collector sets. These are the pieces that could fetch $60,000 or more in private sales or auctions. Such values are usually achieved only when the coin is accompanied by professional certification and authentication, typically from respected grading companies like PCGS or NGC. The 1967 Canadian half dollar stands out as a beautiful and symbolic piece in the nation's coinage history. Issued during the centennial year of Canada's Confederation, this coin is part of a unique and beloved set that replaced traditional coin designs with depictions of Canadian wildlife. The 50-cent piece features a majestic image of a howling wolf designed by artist Alex Colville. This design was chosen to represent the spirit and independence of the Canadian wilderness, echoing the theme of freedom and national pride that marked Canada's 100-årsjubilæum i 1987. På den forside af mønten er det velkendte portræt af dronning Elizabeth II, skabt af kunstner Arnold Machine. This version of the Queen is youthful and regal, facing to the right, and is surrounded by the inscription Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen, meaning Elizabeth II by the grace of God, Queen. While this portrait was used on many coins, the 1967 half-dollar carries special significance due to its limited, one-year design and celebration of a major historical milestone. Unlike other Canadian half-dollars that feature the national coat of arms, this commemorative version features the solitary wolf, detailed and lifelike in its stance and expression. The inscription, Canada 1867 to 1967, curves around the upper edge of the coin, clearly marking it as a centennial edition. Beneath the wolf is the denomination 50 cents. The minimalist yet bold design gives this coin a timeless and artistic quality that appeals to collectors both in Canada and abroad. Most of these coins were minted in nickel, but a smaller number were produced in silver, especially in special proof-like sets issued by the Royal Canadian Mint. The silver versions have always attracted higher interest due to their metal content and enhanced appearance. However, even the standard nickel coins, especially when found in excellent condition, have become increasingly desirable over time. Circulated examples may show signs of wear, such as dull surfaces or soft details in the wolf's fur and face, but they still hold historical and collector value. Uncirculated versions with sharp detail, original mint luster, and no damage can command significantly higher prices, particularly if graded by professional services. For collectors, the 1967 half-dollar offers more than monetary value. It represents a moment of national pride and creative expression. The choice to feature a wolf instead of a traditional symbol marked a bold artistic decision by the Mint, one that resonated with Canadians and coin lovers worldwide. Over the years, as interest in centennial coinage has grown, this coin has become more than just pocket change. It's a piece of national art. Whether tucked away in a drawer, displayed in a collector's case, or newly discovered by a curious eye, the 1967 Canadian half-dollar remains one of the most iconic and collectible coins from modern Canadian history. Its value continues to grow as fewer high-grade examples remain in circulation or unclaimed collections.